Hi, I'm Sherry McKay. I'm a white woman worship leader, and I'm leading my church in a transition from monocultural worship to multicultural worship. Hi, I want to share with you just an idea that I learned about recently this year as it relates to multicultural worship. And I was doing some research and reading on the Calvin Institute of Christian Worship website. And the director of the Calvin Institute of Worship is John Whitfield. And he has this video where he shares about 3 different aspects of worship, or maybe 3 kinds of worship. And for one of those kinds, he references Romans chapter 12. And I want to read this familiar verse to you as we get started. He says, "Therefore," Paul the apostle, "therefore I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship." And John Whitfield's point is that worship is more than what happens in that 11 o'clock hour on Sunday mornings, that we worship God with our lives throughout each and every day. And so as I'm thinking about multicultural worship and I'm thinking about how I can implement strategies, I'm thinking beyond my Sunday morning worship service. I'm thinking about how I can create worship experiences, moments, or helping people to become worshipers outside of that 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock hour on a Sunday morning. So one of those things that I experimented with was partly inspired by COVID-19. Last year, we did something at Christmas time called the Christmas Walk of Wonder. And what we were trying to do was to create something that was an outdoor event that people could experience in a socially distant fashion. But I also wanted to incorporate the things that I was leaning into with multicultural worship. I wanted to invite my community to come onto our church property and have a worship experience, even if they'd never worshiped God before. And so what we did is we created this winding, meandering path on our front yard. We are blessed to have a large front yard, and we installed trees. Some of them were artificial, some of them were live, but each tree had a theme to it, and each tree tells the story of Christmas. The first tree in the Walk of Wonder was the Mary tree. And the Mary tree features some blue roses that might be familiar to people in the Catholic community in our area. Maryland is a very highly Catholic state, and so blue roses have been used in the Catholic Church to represent Mary. So we made sure that we were inclusive with that. And then we added baby dolls that on the tree, wrapped in swaddling clothes on this tree, and they were all skin shades. Because we really wanted to break out of this idea of Jesus being a European. He was not European. And so we had all these different skin colors represented on the tree. I also want to tell you about our Magi tree. We had a Mary tree, a shepherd tree, an angel tree. We had a live nativity, which was really fun. And then we had a Magi tree. And I think that's significant culturally because the Magi were another ethnicity. They were from another culture. They were from Persia. The Magi are the people God invited to come to see Jesus. He put something in the sky that was of interest to them, that would capture their attention, their interest, their imagination. They studied the stars. And so God used that to bring these people all the way from Persia across to Bethlehem to see Jesus. And there are a lot of messages there. And what was really fascinating at this tree and all the others is to watch people read the signs. These signs were telling the story of the tree. And then to watch parents and children and friends and neighbors look at the tree and point out just the different ornaments and seeing them. And then each sign also had a question, a spiritual question at the end for people to think about or ask one another. And it was a contemplative journey through the yard as people stopped at each tree. Now, to reinforce this multicultural idea, what we did is we invited different people from our congregation who represented different ethnicities and different languages to read what was on the signs. We had a narration, and they read it first in English, and this was a video, we captured this with video. So we had these videos of people from different nationalities reading the narrations in English and then in their first language. And so we had Telugu from India, we had Yoruba from Nigeria, we had a woman from Peru who read a narration in Spanish. And we just continued that throughout the Chinese. We had one of our Chinese members also read in Chinese and in English. And one of the things I think was really helpful about that, not only the people who walked through, even if they didn't speak those languages, it showed that we're a church that welcomes people of all languages. We're a church that sees the people in our community. We're a church that is not in a bubble, but we are arms open wide. And I also think for my church, the people in my church, it's helping us to see others in our community. It's helping us to be reminded of the different languages, the different come-froms that are represented in the neighborhoods right around us. So it really benefits everyone to do something like this. There's just so many opportunities in the Christmas story to think about cross-cultural moments and meaning, messages that God has placed in that story. So there's more that I could tell you about it, but if you want to kind of see what we did and get some, maybe this will inspire something that you would like to do in your setting, you can go to walkofwonder.com and get an overview of some of what we did. And maybe there's something cool that God will inspire you to do. I'd also love to get some ideas from you guys. Put some comments, share with me some things that you've tried at Christmas, and would love to hear from you and be inspired by the creative ideas that God's given you.